Ruth is a cop, so that's fun. Hello and welcome back to the Know-It-Alls podcast. I'm Amanda Charlie.
And I am Fezzo Tonti, your favorite popular culture nerds.
Who now have 100 subscribers.
Woo!
107
subscribers as of filming, as of this moment.
Yes, of course.
We know that you can do something for us by the time you see us again. Okay? Oh my God, thank you so much.
Welcome to the family. Those of you who got us over the line.
Yes, we are so thankful.
Yes, yeah.
And also, like, we are starting to get to a point where some of our videos have over 600 views, which is insane for us because we've been going for like 2 seconds and already people are invested in what we have to say.
Yeah.
So thank you. We've also had a couple of in the world IRL sightings. And I just want to say thank you so much to all the know-it-alls who come up and said, yo, this is such a dope podcast. Thank you. That is so cool.
It is. Even, I haven't seen anyone in real life because I'm always at the house. But to everyone who DMs,
yes,
consistently comments, there's like a solid 4 people that I just know are always going to comment.
Yeah.
It's so encouraging.
Thank you.
And all those of you who maybe don't comment but like send us a message on the side, either on the page or Fezi or my personal accounts, you have no idea what it means. And like the more comprehensive, the more like clear the compliment is, like what you actually enjoy, the better. It's so helpful. It's encouraging to us as people, but also it helps us know what we're doing right and what to keep.
Yeah, and also define our craft and like figure out.
Exactly.
You know, this is a new medium for us. We've been doing multiple other mediums for a long time, but this is new for us. So this welcome feels so wonderful and we are so thankful. Anyway, so today I'm going to be your game master. In our wonderful segment called An Ode to South African Popular Culture. Are you ready for your questions, darling?
I'm here. Okay? Charlie Gang.
Charlie Gang, you know what it is.
Please. I am the Hive.
Okay, well, Fizzy Hive, you know what it is.
Why would the...
I just feel like anyone who's been watching since episode 1 knows that that's our tagline. Fizzy Hive? You know what it is.
It's also just like, she's the referee. I don't know why she needs Ipavi.
Okay. Which South African newscaster has or had the most iconic news presence or broadcasting presence?
Come on now, guys.
Okay.
We know who that's going to be.
Okay. Number 1, Noxolo Grootboom.
So, why are we keeping going?
Is Xolani Gwala.
Cool.
3, Leanne Manas.
Like, that's
just give the illusion of thinking through.
Because no. Do you know how you guys drag us for even thinking through? The girls would be like, but it's a given. Why would you even? Because this one is a chop, and it's like no. But I feel like, come on, it would be disrespectful to her to pretend she has peers.
Who? Nokolo. I mean, of course.
You know, it's just like, let me just give her. That's me giving her flowers by not even pretending that it's a. I'll do it to the other girls, but that's how. Come on.
Mam Nokolo would be a dream guest to have, I feel like. I just think she is so incredible and has like watched this country kind of morph and shift and think and like, it's not necessarily like a pop culture girl, but like
she's in the culture though.
You know what I mean?
She's
like
a part of the culture.
into the media of this country, which is anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, since you're not going to give the other 2 their flowers, I'm going to do it.
Go ahead.
Congratulations, Xolani Gwala, who was so incredible. I think just had such a fantastic broadcasting career, had real capacity, really thoughtful, critical. I would even venture out to say was like one of our earlier iterations of public intellectuals. I really enjoyed his kind of broadcasting career. And Leanne, we grew up with her.
Yeah. Our morning
live. I can't imagine, like,
Yeah.
especially in winter, your clothes would be by the heater, and then the
She and Vuyo. Yeah.
She and Will would be on the TV.
Yeah.
And, like, you know what I mean? That's your
Yeah.
day starting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, 100%. Like all those people, and of course, rest in peace to
yes, Glenn.
Mr. Gwala.
Mr. Gwala. Okay, number 2. There was a point in which the SABC took their role as public broadcaster incredibly seriously. And that reflected in the kind of dramas and social dramas that they created. Which of these do you think was the most successful, rather?
Successful. In okay.
In
it's like-
thinking about a
in its
social drama,
mandate.
yes,
Okay.
and then also like kind of incorporating educational type content. Soul City, Intersections, Gazla.
Yeah. So I think I'll just start by talking about Soul City
Okay.
because it was, I don't remember before Soul City seeing that format, like something that was so it was educational TV, but it was for the first time. It still felt like they were laying it on a bit thick. Like it was very like, we are teaching you this. Here is a setup, but still penetrated our homes.
Yeah.
Not because we had nothing else to watch, or not only because we had nothing else to watch,
Yeah.
but because it was a good drama. Like it was a good drama. It was one of the first to really merge those two formats, and so I think whoever else is in the category like is nothing without Soul City.
Yeah.
And I think for all intents and purposes, it was successful in like communicating around HIV, TB. A lot of what I learned about infection was from Soul City, and then Soul City had a whole. It's an organization, right? Like, and so there was more
Yes.
to support the show in terms of material, learning materials, posters, flyers, books.
Am I misremembering? But was Love Life kind of connected to Soul City in some way, or no?
I don't remember Love Life being connected, but
Okay.
I'm not saying it wasn't.
Okay.
I just experienced it so
Yeah.
separately. And then you said the second one was Intersections. Now, Intersections is probably for our generation the most, like it was the first show to speak about, because it was very much about HIV, infection and transmission.
Yeah.
But it spoke to us as adults. And it took the taboo away from being a sexually active person or
Yes.
youth, more
Yes,
specifically. So I
yes.
think that was, and then it also really leaned further into being a really good drama. So I think we perfected with Intersection what we were doing with Soul City.
Yes.
And so many great actors. I mean, so many of the young actors of that time I encountered through Soul City,
Yeah.
Intersections.
Yeah, Intersections.
And then a few of those people then were in Gazlam, although not a lot, because also Intersections has so many like guest actors,
Yeah,
cameos,
and
if you will.
interestingly, they also became industry stalwarts. Like through the years, like we could, like from Intersections, kind of
People who
chart their progress to now.
yes,
even. So there's like real
Ozikona
afterlife.
and,
Yeah.
And then Gazlam, I remember being so scared watching Gazlam. Gazlam was so scary to me. I think it was the first time I really watched something that dealt with addiction. And I have a very difficult time watching depictions of drug addiction. I don't know what it is. It's just, it makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or just even like seeing people whose lives have been like just completely ruined by
Yeah,
drugs like that,
yeah.
it really affects me.
Yeah.
That's probably the most prominent element from Gazlam that I remember.
Yeah.
So I would say it's tight between Intersection and Soul City, because I feel like I don't want to scoff at Soul City and what they
Yeah.
did. Intersections, I have friends who still quote Intersections.
Me too.
Mna abantu endilendaba, ndingabala kwesi side. It's not about how many people you've slept
Exactly.
with. It's about how many people
Yeah,
who they slept with.
That's also how I think about like any kind of like romantic and sexual relationship even
Yeah.
to this day.
Yeah.
Intersections is like
Yes.
ingrained in my brain. I'm always like, girl, you don't
Yeah.
know.
You know?
You don't know where this man's been.
Yes.
So like think about that a little bit. you
Yeah.
know? And I think also really like, yeah, did sex education without it being didactic and also without like shaming and
Yes.
blaming.
There was still a little bit of shame.
There was.
It's- what they did for the music and just the entertainment industry was not fair. It's just, I mean, I know that drug addiction and use and all those things are like, everywhere.
Yeah.
But and they can be associated, I know in many regions, drug use and high infection rates. For a long time, were like closely affected. So I understand why, but goddamn, it's just, for all the girls who wanted to be entertainers after school.
It was
didn't-
like,
it's like, so you're gonna go and do those drugs, and Nenutoli didn't help. But to go back, I'm gonna go with Soul City.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay, so
yeah.
you're gonna-
Honorable mention to Intersections, but I think Soul City proved the concept.
Okay.
And if we're really thinking about like success,
Yes.
like can it be adopted? Can it be reinterpreted? But like, is it a format that we can always use? And I feel like Soul City did that.
Yeah.
For us. Like,
No, it was a fantastic.
so
it was
a success in the truest sense.
Yes. Okay. Great. That was a great breakdown of the three
Mm-hmm.
different things, and I think also such a pity because now we've kind of fallen into the crime lord family and all
Yeah, we're deep in
the.
our telenovela bag.
We
now.
are such
Yeah.
fantastic storytellers in this country,
We are.
and we have the capacity to do multiple things within narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we are just obsessed with this telenovela thing,
Mm-hmm.
that also feels very much like an importation because sometimes it doesn't feel like authentic to
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like,
But genre has a way of doing that. Genre does come with its kind of,
yeah.
But I hear what you're saying.
And so I just wish we could look around a little bit more,
Yeah.
and go, wait, there's this hyper-local
Yes.
thing that is really interesting and important. How do
How do we elevate it?
elevate it? How do I create a group of people that are interested in this, that are going to come back to this, that are going to continue to watch this?
Yeah.
I think it's such a pity because we have resources intellectually to do this. And I
Yeah.
think we should excavate those resources.
100%.
Yeah.
But shout out to the categories so far. I'm loving them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm loving them.
Okay, so let's go to the other television thing. Which SA soapy had the best crossover appeal? Okay,
By what do you mean by crossover appeal?
just that the whites and the blacks were both
Okay,
interested.
that crossover.
That's like base.
Because if you're not South African, there is white South African media
Yeah.
and celebrities, and there's black South African media
And when we were
celebrities.
younger, it was SABC 3 and SABC 1. So SABC 1 would be for the black girls
Yeah,
and mostly
SABC
Gwini
3,
girls.
Yes, yes.
And then SABC 3 would be a little bit more
A
English.
little bit more Rainbow Nation.
A little bit more Rainbow Nations, and then SABC 2 would be Afrikaans. It was this
Afrikaans, Venda, Tsonga.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how the Zulu girls got a lot of SABC 1. Like,
Yeah. I don't understand either. But yes.
well, given our voting patterns. Anyway, sorry, I'm traumatized.
This is a non-partisan podcast.
This is a non-partisan podcast. Okay. Isidingo. Seven Delan. Or Ikoli.
See, without knowing the numbers.
Yeah, this is conjecture.
Yes. And that's the thing, right? Like, you'll find that we do a lot of black people watching Afrikaans shows. We don't have a lot of white people watching non-Afrikaans, non-English shows, or, not primarily English.
Yeah.
So as much as Isidungo, to us,
felt
so much like a bigger tent.
Yeah.
I just know not a lot of people were actually
Yeah.
coming over to. But, a goalie.
I also thought so. I also thought so.
It did, yeah. There was a time where I really was trying to follow
Yeah.
during open time Mnet.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I just like abandoned it. But it is, we have a lot of, I have faces coming up, just not names, so I don't want to mess anyone up, but a lot of celebrities, like our actors who definitely have crossover fame from Igoli. Not a lot of them. I just said a lot and I said not a lot. But a few come to mind. And I don't know in terms of Isidingo if we made a lot of famous people.
From a sting. Zebediah?
Zebediah is famous as a Istingo character,
Sure.
but the actor himself,
He's still getting jobs.
but is that famous, babe? I'm not talking about who's still employed.
Wow. What is that metric in South Africa, by the way? Like fame versus longevity.
I think fame is something that you can parlay into different things. I think everyone who's been a judge on Idols is someone who's been able to parlay their fame from the original thing.
Okay.
That's a good judge. I think, yeah, our Idols guests, Idols judges are typically the people who...
Yeah, could do something else.
But are people who... it's kind of like the pinnacle of how famous you are. Like, Idols judging is it's a signal of your crossover power.
Okay.
Because when Somizi became crossover fame,
Yeah.
Idols was
Yeah.
either where people knew him from, and by people I mean non-black people, or where other people just as they were knowing him, he was there.
Yes.
Like it came at a very specific strata in his fame.
Interestingly, also, suddenly the homophobes weren't as homophobic to this one particular media representative, which is always interesting about South Africa. Always fascinating.
And in many ways, this figure itself was a comfort zone to homophobes because in many ways he had homophobic elements to his rhetoric. I also wanted to say, in terms of like, now I'm fixating on the fame thing. In terms of, so I look at Basitana Kumalu, that's a famous person. That's someone who was famous from a thing and then parlayed it into all these things and now she's a household name.
Okay, I see.
Wenang Mateba is a famous person.
Got you.
So, yeah.
Got you.
But, yeah, Igoli.
Okay, that's interesting because I think I always, like, I can tell the Banangs of the world. I can tell, you know, I mean, the most, like, I can tell what a Tusompetu does. I can, you know what I mean? I can tell Tando Tabete, DJ Zintle, right? Like that have been able to do multiple things.
They can take their name different places.
Yes, and we all kind of, like, engage
are still
with
paying
that.
attention, yeah.
But I do, you know, like... I still think about, like, people that we've been watching since we were young. What do we call that? And yes, it is longevity, but there is something about the kind of fictive relationships we've created with them by virtue of them being in our homes that make them seem...
I mean, they are household
more prolific
names and faces
than they could be.
Yes,
Yeah. And I mean, I don't necessarily... I think that's always the conversation in South Africa. For example, we had the actor that used to play Duke on Backstage is in a very financially precarious situation at the moment. And this is really a result of post-COVID. And everyone was obviously shocked that things had gotten so bad for him. And yeah, the reality is there aren't like self-sustaining jobs and ways in which you can. And so, yeah, I think that metric is very useful to think about like what it means
in such a small industry, such a small country. Yeah.
And a relatively new industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Second to last question. Which of these talk show hosts would you want to rekindle their talk careers?
No, it won't be.
Anela Mdota.
She's still...
No, but
you mean
not
her TV talk show?
TV talk show career.
Yeah, I guess that's a very...
That's a very specific thing.
It.
Okay, I feel like the next person's kind of unfair, but like Felicia Mabuza Sato. Nolene. I never had the second part. Mahala Sang.
Maolwana.
Sang.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Cool. Felicia. Really, because I feel like, listen, she probably will tell you that she's done, like she did what she needed to do. But I would have liked for her to stay and just be on my TV for longer because I don't remember I don't remember watching Felicia live a lot. But I remember at that part of my life where the Felicia Mabuza show was on TV. She was my Oprah before Oprah. So it's like I remember her presence. I don't remember like specifically watching the show.
Yeah.
A lot of clips from that show have recently just kind of made it like resurfaced, and people had such great interesting things to say. I liked how she engaged the day's celebrities.
Yes.
Everyone can kind of point to having made an appearance on the Felicia Mabuza show without having it been just a sit-down interview and all that. And I think talk shows now, everyone just falls into I'm going to interview celebrities.
Yeah.
And there's only so many
Yeah.
you can interview, just
Yeah.
given how small of an industry we have. And then also it's not interesting. The interview format is not the only way to do a talk show.
Exactly.
So I would like for her to come back and just like, yeah.
Yeah. I think she was, like my Oprah before Oprah, my Ricky Lake, but not in that same, like.
Not in the ding dong.
No, not in that, like, messiness, no. Also, she really took the post-democratic project very seriously. I know this is, like, almost dichotomous, but in my mind, when I kind of cast back to that time, I think of Felicia and I think of the TRC hearings. That's visually what I can like place in my mind, and that being a very particular time in South Africa. And I think that's something to say, you know, like you're hearing South Africans on one part talking about the kind of injustice, cruelty, dehumanization that they've experienced, often to folks that are effectively gaslighting them and saying, oh no, we don't remember, you know, whatever, or sometimes figuring out some ways that are inadequate for a kind of justice, retribution, not really. And then you have this like show with Zambia and like 3 white girls dancing in the back.
Yes.
Just such an interesting time in like the psyche of the country. And it's interesting to me that those things played in the same kind of era and epoch. And like we were saying last time, like South Africa is just like when you watch the kind of like crossover media that is happening is always really fascinating and interesting. Yeah. So yeah, I agree, Felicia. And then finally, which radio station do you trust to break the song of the year? Okay.
Oof. This is probably
it's become very
more
contagious.
15 years ago me than now me.
Okay. Yeah. Still, we're making space for that girl. Metro FM, Ukhozi FM, Mhlobo Wenene.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't know. I've never lived in the Ukhozi region.
Okay.
So then it leaves it to Mhlobo and Metro. To break it.
Especially with all the controversy that has like since happened with Ululonyaga. Like, it's become its own political thing. It is the most absurd thing. People are starting to kill each other for that spot. It is
That is crazy.
ridiculous.
And it's so funny because it's
South
voter,
Africa.
it's
It's
voter
crazy.
driven. It's so weird.
It's voter driven. It's
So killing someone, they're gonna make no difference. If
girl.
voter-
It's like was it last year? They were like, do it for Mampincha, and like people were galvanizing to get him Song of the Year.
just because he died.
Just because he passed away. Like, it's oh my God.
Also, you're talking about the radio slot.
No. I'm talking about, okay, so at the end of the year, sometimes we have different
Yes,
songs
no.
of the year.
Okay, you're going by five. I'm saying what you just did now was what people are killing each other for is
The notoriety
the notes.
of the particular radio station
Okay.
saying that this is legitimately
Okay.
the song
Also,
of the year.
they're saying radio station, play this song. This
Yes,
is the
yes.
Okay. Okay. Listen, this is gonna be such a boring answer. Because I love Mhlobeni, but Mhlobeni is not my music station. The biggest show on there is that breakfast show, right?
Yeah.
And that's like all of them laughing. EPE. So Metro, I'd say Metro. Also because Metro has the awards. It's like come on.
Yeah,
it's
it's
Metro
more
FM Music
institutionalized.
Awards. Yeah, it's more institutionalized. A break is so. I think that's a political question. Okay. Like, who's going to break it? Because recently, our big songs, at least in the Gom to piano kind of advent, it's all been so grassroots that by the time the national radio stations catch on, it's like they're catching on to the kind of mainstream version of right?
the thing, yes.
And then people are like, but by the time December rolls in,
Yes.
we've already moved on to this
Yes,
one. This is
yes,
the real song of the
yes.
year in the
Okay,
streets.
yes.
So I don't trust them to break the song of the,
Sure.
to the like the true people's song of the year.
Yes, the people's song.
But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been interesting also to kind of watch the shifts in Ukhozi FM where the Maskandi kind of, the Maskandi artists have really started to like position themselves as people that should be getting this, kind of moving away from moving away from Amapiano, moving away from, what is this? What was DJ Tira? What was that music?
That was house.
What was that? No.
It was that Kwaito house moment we had where no one wanted to. It was so funny. You remember there was a whole conversation.
Afro.
What are you doing? You're just reading now. I'm like, you're just saying genres now.
Afro pop? No.
That whole Big Nas was the bridge from Kwaito into house, and that's why there's still a contentious like kind of debate about that.
Okay.
There's never been a
No, the point I'm trying to make is though it's just been interesting to kind of watch the fluctuation in support depending on Ukhozi. And
because it used to be mostly Mbatanga artists who dominate that.
Not really. It used to be like quite an urban, or at least in my in my memory, it used to be like quite an urban category, and that top 10 was like deeply contentious, and it, and then suddenly it's a little poison yife.
Yes.
Even though that's never been song of the year.
Yeah.
Like that type of song started to be like, and we assumed that was the thing.
It's like these memification kind of songs.
Yeah. Anyway,
that is interesting. Well done. That was fun. That was invigorating.
Invigorating. Okay, are you ready for our breakdown?
Yes. Hit me. We are talking about the ultimatum. The ultimatum reunion. Highlights?
Salamina looks great.
Okay, that's interesting. In the highlights, that's quite.
No, just
you expect it to look great.
Just because everyone didn't.
Everyone looked like they were in a 2005 metric dance.
It just was so odd.
It was odd.
It was odd. It was really odd. Highlights was my Queen Lebo.
Of course.
Taking her power back. Ish.
Borrowing her power.
Borrowing her power. Like, just doing this with her power. Highlights, lowlights. Tabby's hair.
You know what's funny about that? Is that Tabby has a dye job. And so to say highlights and lowlights, which are also a form of a dye job, you can't write shit like that. It didn't bother me though, yes?
It bothered me so much. It happened
and I was like, oh, her hair's here. Cool.
It bothered me so much. It was so distracting to where like I was just biased against her for Genesis. Like everything Genesis said, I was like, yes, King. He's trying. I hate it.
Being a woman is so hard.
It really is. And yeah, I think more of the lowlights were, I just feel like Kanya could have had a more serious accountability arc on this reunion. I think she got away with a lot. But otherwise, really ridiculous reunion, which was the cherry on the top for this foolish, unhinged, insane,
unprecedented
brilliant, unprecedented season.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a perfect end. I couldn't even
Was
fathom.
it our perfect ending?
I couldn't even fathom what this could have looked like, but I loved it.
Yeah. It showed me that we don't have enough dressmakers.
What for the 9 to 5 girls?
Yes.
Okay.
So the reach, it's actually so refreshing. I think that's what why reality TV is here to stay. It's always going to reflect back to us what's really going on among the people.
And what our norms and standards are, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
But from a class perspective, it really is so refreshing. Like, it just reminds you, but this is what people look like, right? Like, everyone doesn't have access to that, to, the amazing Nigerian designers who make snatched waists and kind of 3D elements and mermaid dresses. A lot of people don't have access to that. And so people wear what they find at YDE, what they find at, I don't know where else see my point? I don't know where else you can find like a dramatic reunion
KZN girls, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh. It's hard to find those kinds of dresses. So I think I saw everyone come in with the dresses and I was like, it's happening. It's happened. Kanya looks like she was pregnant at her matric dance. When someone is pregnant at their matric dance, they do all the bling up here. Then they do a high diaphragm waistline.
Yes, at this point also she's postpartum.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was like, oh yeah, these dresses are dated, right, to me.
Yeah.
But that's just my eye. Like they're dated to my eye. They're not dated in terms of what's in the market right now and what people can afford and what people can buy.
You're right.
So I quickly settled into, I was like, these are the dresses.
Okay.
They're happening. The girls are pretty though, so.
Yeah, I mean, even Salamina's dress I thought was exactly fine. But
it blended in very easily also. I don't actually remember details. I just remember the color.
It was exactly fine, but like of all the girls and the boys, actually, like this is not like a gendered thing. This is not
I don't remember what men wear.
Critique. Like, I felt like everyone didn't look great.
No one looked great. Gajago's never looked great. And his idea of matching his shirt
This is me!
to Kanya's dress is so matric dance. But yeah, that's me on the looks. Do you want to go straight into Ruth and Isaac?
Yeah, sure. Ruth told us that she would do things the exact same way. What are your thoughts and feelings about that?
Because I think it's like, regret isn't useful anyways.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what did you really expect for her to say?
Interestingly, when I was watching this with my sister and my friend, I was like, no way. Guys, they must have recorded this before the world saw it. Or like before they had like live reactions and kind of got a sense of like how terrible it was. Turns out they watch it the day, I think the reunion is shot the day after the
season airs.
The season
is
airs.
uploaded.
Yes, it's uploaded. And I think they get that kind of like initial shock of like what is happening, but not the extent, for example.
Yeah.
Because I think then Kanya would have been a little bit more remorseful. And I think even Ruth might have actually been a little bit, not remorseful. I think there were lots of people who were like, yes, Ruth, you're doing what you're doing. But it was interesting, that dynamic, because typically what we have is a couple of weeks or a month of watching a show, people's dramas up and down, things are moving in and out.
Yeah.
And then we get like a sanitized reunion. So I think this was interesting. I doubt it's going to happen again, because I feel like the kind of like outer world mediation is interesting to the producers, but I don't know if anyway, I just was like, oh, okay.
It's very timelines because it's reality, right? Timelines are so interesting in how they inform the content, like still. The reunion, bruh. Reunions are just really interesting phenomenon.
Yeah.
Ruth is a cop, so that's fun.
I found that out maybe 3 days ago. And I was like, you are a law enforcement officer?
Ruth is a thespian cop. That was fascinating to me. You never could have convinced me of that.
That is so crazy. I thought she was an actor.
She's both, babe.
But she
Okay,
told her she's an
duality.
actor. Duality. Get you a girl who can do both. Okay. Wow. Wow, that like shocked me.
I'm hoping that because being a law enforcement officer, it means you're an officer of the law, and you can do that as a traffic cop, as a cop,
Okay,
or like I
yes.
guess there's many.
And she's always in like suits. She's not like in
Oh, you've seen her
office-
OOTDs,
Yes. She's never in like
the uniform.
uniform. So, she must be doing something. Do you think she's like administrative in?
Maybe after a few years, because I don't know how long she's been in that career. 'Cause
Yes.
Isaac did say you have to be brave to
do what you do. And I was also like, what do
What
you
is-
mean? What are you talking about? To go to an audition?
Exactly, because that's all she had alluded to, her wanting to act. She and Lindile had
Yes,
that in
bonded
common.
over that.
So that's fun. I just wanted to put that on the table. That's part of the text.
Oh, that rich text.
Do you believe Isaac has a girlfriend he's talking to? I feel like Isaac just said that. So he doesn't look single.
Me too. And if she does in fact exist, I don't think she's gonna be there
Yes, not any longer. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And it's not going to be Lebo. So that's okay, gals. Let's calm down.
Also interesting for me is always how so there was that Instagram video of Nola in the streets somewhere with some girls and some girls being like and I'm always fascinated about the girls who just like gravitate to these characters even haven't been given all the information about how terrible
About the
these people can be.
Well, I mean, listen, if he wants to pay for my drink, I don't care who he is on a show. What do I care? That you had a bad showing.
I don't know, man. I'm still not trying to get like documented. It's one thing.
Okay.
It's one thing to document yourself with a weirdo. It's quite another to be like, okay, I'll take your drink.
Okay, I
But
guess.
documenting yourself?
Yeah.
No way.
Nah, you can live that down. Tequila is not what it used to be, okay? But do you want to go straight into because
Wait.
in my mind, Ruth and Isaac are extras in
The
or
Nola
rather
and Lebo
in the
drama.
Nola and Lebo
Exactly.
story.
Yeah. I think I don't want to be on the side of injustice here, but I think Nola's acknowledgement that he was attracted to different things in these two women is not necessarily unfair. Like, I think that's a fair statement to make. And I feel like the cast and Lebo kind of being like, yo, you can't say that, just felt a little bit like, I mean, everyone obviously Nola, Skabinga.
Yes.
But sometimes Skabingas have feelings too.
Sorry. Skibengas have feelings too.
Skabingas have feelings too. Skabingas have interiority. And so
Skibengas lie when Skibengas lie about their feelings and their interiority,
Sure.
it's not valid anymore.
And Skabingas can be manipulative, and you know what? But sometimes Skabingas will tell the truth.
I understand why Lewu didn't want to hear that. So yes, there's the experiment in this.
I'm not discounting that. Yes,
Okay.
I too also wouldn't have been thrilled, but I also just felt like the cast didn't need to be like,
Yeah.
It could have just been like, yeah, okay. I thought there were different things in these two women, which is actually the point of the experiment, to experience different
Yes.
parts of different people that like then hopefully get you on your way.
Wasn't the cast responding to Lebu's response? Were they just responding straight to what Nola was saying?
So he says, look, I really enjoyed my time with you. There's different
No, I remember what
parts.
he said, but were they reacting to him saying it, or did we get their reactions post Lebu saying how she felt about it?
I think it was both.
Okay.
I think it was both.
Yeah.
I think I remember like initially like the camera being
Some faces.
being like,
Okay.
and then when Lebo says the fact that he's saying that whilst he's sitting next to me,
then people.
then it's like, whoa.
Yes.
you
Okay.
know.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, and also okay, now then Skabinga comes into full focus. Nola wanted Isaac to hear from Ruth that they had been intimate, and the same with him and Lebo. Like, he's lying.
He wanted to lie to Lebo. He wanted to be able to lie to Lebo. And so being able to tell her separately or even after the show was going to make sure that he tells a version of the story that works for him.
Yes. Yes. And I think, what was the plan? That he was going to wait a whole year for her to then discover this?
No, I suspect they were going to cross over because that was everyone's last night in their couples.
Yes.
They were going to move in together and he was going to wait for even before or after filming to talk to her separately so he can manipulate her properly and quietly and tell her the version of the story that he knows will glide.
I'm also surprised that they go back together. They go back to each other.
Hey, we all are, bro.
But,
and it's like...
I'm also, not too hot on Lebo because, girls, we've all, we've all, like, in our heads knowing full well, this is foolish.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
Yeah.
And been like, okay.
I think with Lebo, first of all, I love how the whole country assumes that cheating is a deal breaker for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not.
It really isn't.
For men and women, actually. And I think we jumped the gun by assuming that we didn't, she did say it's over, no, but we didn't actually hear from Lebo after she, after that night. Mm-hmm. So we got like a VO of her talking about how she feels and her packing and leaving. Mm-hmm. We don't know when we could have gotten that. Mm-hmm. And that was just to kind of wrap up, that chapter and have them leave. But we didn't actually get a sober idea of Lebo's kind of reading and reaction of what happened there. Yeah. I suspect Lebo, because this is the thing, Lebo brought him there, right? So there's also going to be an element of self-blame, and a woman will find somewhere in there something to blame. She may not verbalize it, but she'll find a way to blame herself.
Yeah.
So I think Lebo, once the dust settled, it was easy for her and Nola to go, that was an isolated incident. I mean, look, it's ultimatum. The pressure was up. All of these things. Mm-hmm. This would never happen in the real world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was
like, this is not the real world.
This is not the real world. I mean, when and all of that, and then it becomes something different in real life if he does it again.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he had, right? But I think Wilebo was unhappy because she knows deep down inside this guy is not right.
Yeah.
That's my theory, which is not surprising then. Or do you want to... Let's first start with... what they say at the reunion. I'll deal with what happens after. So, Salimina asks, are you guys back together? Mm-hmm. Then Nola, instead of just saying, yes, we're back together, he decides to go a step further and say,
happy.
And we're very happy.
To which Isaac then goes... Girl,
no.
You know that's a lie.
Lebu then, because Samina goes, Lebu, are you guys happy?
Yeah.
And she goes, essentially, yes. Just kind of on a go-along kind of thing. And then Isaac starts being animated.
Yeah.
I don't know if Salamina follows up, but Isaac gets to say, no, I'm not, or I'm shaking my head because I speak to Lebu and she's lying there, not happy.
Ruth is trying to contain Isaac. She's like,
and so she brings attention to them.
So she's like,
yes,
like, stop talking, like, stop,
So then Isaac is like, I'm her BBF, and she tells me they're not happy. To which Lebu then goes, actually, I
had something to say.
I don't know why Lebu felt the pressure to break up with Nola on screen. I think that was the pressure.
Yeah. I also think so. I think. Remember, they've watched the season last night. Tonight, they're at the reunion. She is bubbling under and over.
Because now she's seen the detail.
The detail with which he was gaslighting her. Like the specificity that is happening. Also, she's probably watching with people.
Oof, yes.
Who are also like, girl.
She doesn't even have to. She is watching with people. We're telling her everything we're seeing.
Yeah, we're also like, we're going for it. But also, if there's someone in the room, sorry, like, there are some decisions that all of us girls have made that, like, if we had a chorus and you would just be like horrified.
Yes,
You'd be like, oh my God,
yes.
There's some things that you need to do
because no one lives their lives
shadows
as a viewer of their own life.
Yes.
Which means there's insights I have about my life that the viewer doesn't have, and vice versa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think for her to kind of like salvage something for herself and bring something back to herself, she's like, well, then I need to break up with this man. I have to.
Yeah.
I have to. Which then, like, I don't know why Nola is that surprised. Clearly his manipulative game in his mind has been working so well.
Yeah. When you are so out of touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly, he has been gaslighting this woman in such tremendous ways, because even when she says, I don't even know what your real character is. One day you're like this, one day that. He's like, what? You've clocked this? Like, he's really...
Yeah.
He gets a visceral response to this. And I think that's very interesting about people that are manipulative. Like, it just... What? What do you mean that you've kind of figured out that I was like 10 steps ahead when in fact you weren't? When in fact you were... Yeah. Anyway.
No, yeah.
So...
It's so funny to me when Genesis gives me such boy band energy.
I love Genesis.
Genesis, it's actually a travesty that he did not grow up in a boy band. He's just so built for that. But yeah, what did you make of
That moment?
their chat in the back?
Sorry, Genesis, I love you. I love you. Okay, when you said us men need to get hurt
Shame.
in order to see things clearly. What a man, what a man, what a man. I don't think so. I think, in fact, what Nola really surfaces for all of us is that patriarchy hurts men too, right? Like, it does.
It does, but how so here?
No, I just mean that you're gonna get entangled in this nonsense, and because you just never get a chance to be like a normal, ethical person, these things are like weighing on your mental health, hopefully, on your capacity to move in the world, on your time. I think cheating is so time consuming. I think being like facetious about the different things that are happening in your life, and like, I think that's hurtful. And I think there's a cost to that.
Okay.
No?
I don't know. What hurt Nola though? I'm just like, how did it hurt Nola here? I just...
Because now you're getting broken up with.
On TV.
In front of all of us.
Yeah, I guess. I think cheating hurts men. I don't know if like in this case, and I understand that cheating as like when a patriarchal body does it, it's laden. There's so much more there. Like it's actually violent, and it becomes about power. I just don't. I actually find Nola to be such a liar that I can never spend enough time in his feelings with him.
Sure.
And I don't even think he spends enough time in his own feelings.
Okay.
So what I was observing was someone who's like, okay, I think Nola's used to losing Lebo, and Nola is used to getting Lebo back.
Okay.
I think this was...
So then do you think the theatrics was so that later...
So I'm not saying necessarily even saying that it's all theatrics. I think it was a, it was a blindside. He was blindsided. But I don't think Nola ever believed he really lost Lebo. And so I don't think Nola has ever really been remorseful. I think Nola knows how to perform remorse.
Okay.
He knows how to perform an apology.
Fair.
And he can even be embarrassed and have a visceral reaction to being embarrassed. But I don't know, because like someone... I don't know how many times Nola's cheated. I'm only going on a hunch. I suspect he's a cheater. And...
But I think what Genesis is also saying is that like, you can't just also live your life being duplicitous. Like you can't just... You have to...
Yeah, if you want something real...
stakes
yes.
in your relationships. And that's what he's kind of like articulating as you need to be hurt in order for you
to learn.
Right? And I think there's something about needing to unlearn the tools that you've used to create this nonsensical, hateful persona that you have. Mm-hmm. Look, I really think... I know Nola is a scabenga, but there is something in me that's like, bruh, like, you can figure this out. You can stop being terrible.
Do you think, actually, even outside of their actions, do you feel like Nola and Lebo are, and we don't know enough about them, but are they do you feel like there's a good match there somewhere?
No, I don't.
So I don't think they're worth saving.
I don't.
I don't even think they're worth Nola straightening up.
Sure. Okay, but Nola is going to happen to another woman.
Yes. No, and... I guess what I'm saying is And I don't think women change men. I guess I'm saying whatever is needed, I just want it to stop. I want them to stop. Like whatever kind of change Nola needs to experience and like choose for himself.
Yeah.
The label context is not where I need it to happen.
Sure. No. Got you.
All right?
Got you. I'm also
So
like
it's like-
disinvested at this point. I'm here with Genesis.
Nola as a person. Oh,
I'm here
Genesis.
with Genesis and Nola having that private bro moment.
Yeah, about like,
Which Salamina is so great to have been like, let's just leave these two
Yes.
to
and
have
then-
this chat.
Yeah.
For me, that I think that was an important conversation to just like, I don't think Nola's going to change in this moment, but I do want to say that like something about that, he can figure it out. Like I want to,
Yeah. No, I want that for all men. I want,
yeah,
you know,
I even want the worst of men to be fine.
I mean,
Even the
if
worst
them
of them
being good, if them being fine means them being good to
Yes.
people, yes.
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
And so I think that's why I'm so invested in that.
I also feel like Genesis understood the camera was on. He did. Because the first time I saw it
too, like
Yes. Because the first time I watched the that episode, obviously the emotion of it all was like, I was in my living room just like,
was cackling.
right? It was great cackling, and so I could also then appreciate like the heightened emotions that I could even. Genesis wasn't the point, like he wasn't my focus in that scene.
Yeah.
But I could even like take what he was saying, and be like, oh, he's being this. I could take everyone in terms of the role they were playing.
Yeah.
But once I watched it again, I was like, this is corny. Like
Corny.
you're corny, and you've been corny. I've seen hints of you being corny, but I feel like the best people have a little bit of corny in them.
Yes, the best people do
Including
need to
me.
be corny. They
Yeah.
do. They do.
So I still like Genesis. I think Genesis was like, I'm here to have a moment, and it's been presented to me, and so I'm gonna take it.
Yeah. I mean, Courtney gave him nothing the whole season. So
Literally
like,
nothing.
it's like,
Yeah, I love the little silent applause from Aiden. I'm like, yeah,
And Aiden's like, Isaac's like, yes.
yes. Isaac is also just bitter,
He's so bitter.
and he's so lame. I
He's
don't
so-
know. I don't think he sees how like unattractive everything he does is.
Ew.
And also, this is my main note about Isaac before we move on. Isaac encouraging Lebo to like essentially choose herself when he was so horrible to Ruth. Like, it just means nothing. It means nothing that you have all these great things to say about Lebo being valuable and like how she should choose herself and all of those things, that she should be happy and whatever else you might be saying to her on WhatsApp. It means nothing if you don't take that energy and that perspective to
Yeah.
the women who are in your life. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What else? What else did I have to say?
What was about same couples?
Then it's Tabby and Genesis.
Can we skip straight to Caesar and Lindy
Sure.
in case we
Sure.
run out of time?
Yeah.
Because
All I wanted to say, my main notes is I hate Tabby's hair. That was...
is that's why you want to read? Actually, I think Tabby's hair wasn't cut properly. I think with the right cut, it would be great. I don't actually mind the color, and I don't think it clashes with the skin or.
And I'm a
It's
queen
just-
who loves color. Right?
Yeah.
I love color. Sometimes controversial color on my hair.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
It just...
I don't see color.
Sure.
What did Caesar and Lindele cite as a reason for not being married yet?
They told their in-laws that they have things to work through.
Yes. But the whole reason for the pause, there are things to work through, but it wasn't about money. They didn't say it was about money and employment, and Genesis was the only one who was honest about that.
I think that's
That's the real reason.
the real reason. I don't actually remember.
Also, were they in a fight? Like, I feel like they were in a fight too. Caesar
Yes.
and Lindele.
Lindile was so moody. Oh, he made me so
Lindele
angry.
is always moody, and I don't understand why, as a performer, he doesn't know to switch it
To
off.
switch it on.
Just for the
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
for the camera and the lights.
Sorry, what I wanted to say about Tabby is that I think she is quite delusional about Olindile, because this man,
Tabby.
yeah, because she had 3
Tabby.
wasn't
They experienced together in the trial marriage.
Yes, in the
Okay.
trial
Mhm.
marriage, because she had 3 weeks of this man's persona that he created for the show, for the cameras, and for this experience that had little to no stakes in the real world, but he could feel some new sensations with someone else other than his original partner. And she's holding so much into that she's like kind of bringing that into her relationship with Genesis. And I just thought that was unfair. And then you watch Lindile, suddenly his bad mood like comes off when he like hears this praise. And then when Caesar's like, you know, the beautiful relationship that me and Lindy now and I have, you know, wouldn't have been possible without
another
you, Tabby.
woman, yeah.
And I just am like, I don't know about that.
Babes.
I don't know about that. I think humans can be self-regulatory.
Uh-huh.
I don't necessarily think we need to like partition our humans to different things
Yes.
for that thing. I mean, yes, obviously you are a product of your environment's experiences, your various relationships, of course. But there is a way that you can just be like, oh, my partner is saying X to me. Perhaps there is worth in me thinking about how to move differently.
Yeah. Listen, I want to give that so much. I want to give it all my wisdom and my complex thinking. I just don't take their relationship seriously. I don't think that at a year, because they would be there now.
Yeah. 2 years at this point?
2? Are we sure?
Because they've been... No, wait, they're 6. Sorry, I forgot the diabolical nature
So maybe they...
of this relationship.
Yes. So maybe they're inching closer to maybe putting together a year and a half or / a year, 2 years.
And he said he's going to get married by the end of this year, which I'm just like... Okay. Well, if that is your belief, there's nothing I can do about it.
Every black man is getting married in December. Every black man's getting married in December. But I just don't even think that... I think none of what we're saying, which is so valuable and useful and comes from long-term experience with different kinds of relationships, I don't think it applies to them yet. So it's like, I don't... You know what I mean? Like, I don't think what Caesar was saying about, like, you know, time away and all that ever applied for them, because it was 6 months in.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's like, you don't even know what part of his character
I forgot.
was, you know, it's like, what are you even saying? But if they had more time and, you know, Caesar was saying the exact same thing, I actually would have room for that, because yes, people self-regulate and all those things. But I think there's also something that happens when you've been with someone a long time. You get so used to showing up a specific way out of routine or whatever that you don't, some parts of you just aren't like, you know, ignited. So it's understandable to be like in this new situation, if you're a romantic person, to get your creative juices going and really actually perform the romance you would like to, because this is a new and shiny person, right? That you can do all of that. There's no history, and they're open to everything, and you know it's just 3 weeks. You can really be anyone.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, again, doesn't apply here, because they were together for 6 months before, you know? So I just couldn't, I found myself zoning out a lot, because I was like, the stakes were never high here. So they just were never high. But it's just a matter of, Caesar realizing that, like, we are I'm not even saying they don't need to be together, but like the way they've been moving so far, I don't see how her terms are being considered.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't even know if she has terms.
Yeah.
Yes, the guys, we just don't be having terms sometimes.
Girls.
And that's how you get lost in. Sometimes someone isn't even resisting what you want. You just not in a place where you're clear about it. And you just kind of take what they give.
Yeah. And sometimes
until it's been 6 months and he wants to get married. Exactly. And you're like, wait, but I didn't come here with the intention of like being clear about what I want. I probably wasn't even thinking about what I want when I met you. We just all kind of became something. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I'm realizing that my personal life is bleeding into the podcast.
Oh, is it? Oh, let's move on.
But no. But
you wanted to.
But sometimes people really do be telling you at first glance who they are.
Who they are and what they want.
And what they want. And sometimes,
open this. Yeah. Open this. But we both, men and women, ignore each other when they're like, oh, that flag yako nope.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's going to be a matter of, you know,
yeah.
And you think you're going to be the one to strong arm the person to come to your side or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't work on either end.
Sometimes,
follow up.
This,
you know, so
is worth your time.
This is definitely, I think, a very defining experience in Caesar's life, and I hope it brings her closer to herself.
Yeah. And I hope she's happy to say no to the proposal, should it come again.
Oh. She said yes to the proposal.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's going to ask again.
Is he going to propose again?
We have our marital rights as black people.
But he sent the letter.
Yes, but you can't send a letter to adults saying, but we still have things to work out.
I said,
you can't put like, P.S.
I said, Caesar's really on lay-by.
Exactly. No.
Caesar's really on lay-by.
I feel like, yeah, even if it's like 10 days before the wedding, she goes, jokes.
Yes. I think she can just
she
like
can be
lose
okay.
the whole thing at any point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wait for a question.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I feel like Lindile knows what he's doing. He knows.
Do you think, yeah, tell me what you think. Lindy.
Thanks. Thank you so much for your permission.
For your platforming me.
I think Lindile knows what a catch Caesar is. I think Lindile also understands that he is getting his ish together, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that the way Lindile has moved so far is, I don't want you to go away while I figure myself out. And so he's essentially, and listen, I don't know the inner workings of the relationship. I don't know what makes Caesar happy. Would have been nice to hear in her relationship with Lindile. But I think Lindile understands in many ways that like he's not a competitive bachelor outside of his looks. Again, not derogatory. In many ways, I am not a competitive bachelorette, right? And so he does a thing that men have been doing since the dawn of time, which I think for him, it's the equivalent of proposing at your graduation. I feel like that's what Lindile is doing. And
Got it.
And so I think he knows.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make him unworthy, like that he's not established. It doesn't make him unworthy of love and companionship and all that. But I think it's more of an insurance policy for him than it is for Caesar. I don't see the ways in which Caesar...
So this can never be an equitable relationship, actually. Yeah.
Not from my projections.
Yeah. Yeah, and from my projections...
maybe a professional can see a way out.
Yeah, I just don't want it to wake up 3 years from now in this marriage and be like, I knew what I wanted, which was not to get married. I had that. Yeah. I hate it when you're like, when your instincts told you and you go, oh, girl. And then 3 months later, you're like,
yes.
Hey, queen.
Yeah.
What was your decision?
Yeah.
And you purposefully took the wrong thing, and you knew it in your gut, you knew it in your spirit. That you weren't quite there. That you weren't quite there, but you just like, I don't know, played the part.
But I do think, when was it recently, either on social media or in real life, where we were talking about, that phase of your life where I was on the phone with you, where you have some level of confidence or success or whatever. You're relatively young, but you take for granted that like you value yourself and you've got, a reasonable self-esteem and you know your worth and all that. But it typically takes one of those first relationships for you to learn what it looks like to protect yourself in relationships. But I think more importantly, it makes you commit to loving and protecting yourself in a more active way. And listen, most of us learn through relationships. It's not like the rest of us just woke up knowing it and then we switched on the TV and Ultimatum was on and Caesar was the only one who didn't know it. So depending on like the amount of experience you've had dating in your young years, you probably you don't know when that moment is going to come for you.
That's so true. And there's so many like variables for a bunch of different women. Like I think we are worth is derived from different things. And romantic partnerships aren't always the natural kind of conclusion for a lot of women's lives because they've been told that they weren't as attractive. That, like whatever, for whatever reason, okay. And so then when a romantic relationship comes, you're kind of like shocked at the idea of being chosen.
Yes.
And so then you don't know how much bargaining power you actually have in this thing. And so then you don't know what your self-worth does in relation to this thing. You are also getting a completely separate narrative to yourself about you in proximity to you, in this very close proximity. This partner of yours who is like in your face all the time, saying things about you to you that you might not even know about yourself, or you don't think might necessarily be true, but he's seeing the real me, the vulnerable me, the the love me. So it must be true to some extent. And then you have to be like, and sometimes if you don't have a good community of friendships in your life, you can't then go back and test what is being said about you and like think about like, and yeah, I feel for Caesar in that regard, because I do think she's probably always been desirable, but something about that laugh tells me that there's other things that she's needing to navigate the world with through a kind of anxiousness. And
she even said, she's like, I grew so much in this process because I never used to speak my mind when I didn't like something, and I learned to speak up for myself. Now, if I'm a young man and I'm trying to have a wife, I'm taking the girl who doesn't have a voice.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping she never finds it.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I'm not even trying to like frame it as abusive. I think when we talk about men not being good for women, it very quickly falls into she's being treated badly. And it's like, sometimes you're not being treated badly. You're just not being treated the best.
Yes.
And it's like you could find... Actually, we don't know. We don't actually know.
Sorry, speculative.
Well, that's not what I was referring to. But we don't actually know. When I tell Fizzy, that like, leave him, there'll be something better in the future, I don't absolutely know. Because not enough men are feminists for my liking. And so I don't actually know if it gets better.
Oh, girl,
which
you're
is
right.
why it's best to just decenter men and like divest from that story, because we're all figuring it out.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think what you're saying about you're in a place in your life where you're reconstructing for yourself who you are to yourself, and someone is also telling you, informing what that is, a very critical time.
It's a critical time when you're young, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wish her all the best.
Yeah.
And she's gorgeous. Like, I hope she also isn't taken by Lindy as being hot, right? Like, I hope that's also not the, like, if I'm chosen by him, sometimes it is. Like, just like, the popular guy chose me. Does it get any better? Or
I'm
the hot guy chose me.
right now that a hot man who does not have this is your downfall. Is your actual, literal downfall. And girls, we need to divest. And even
what is this?
What we've the gray matter, and if he's not using all of it, and even the medium ugly men that has become a term. Girls, you can also divest. You can also divest from those kings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even the Shrek lookalikes, you can divest.
Yeah.
You can just decenter men from your life.
I think because I get so, and I want us to move on from here because now we have 30 minutes left for Durban.
Yeah.
But the idea that we can choose our way out of the trifling, kind of man, like it's about, if I just don't do Kosamin anymore, if I just do the good-looking guys, if I just do the ugly guys, if I do the tall guys or the medium guys or the small guys, we can't choose ourselves out of it. Like, that's exhausting.
You really can't.
Because remember, we're all under this that is white supremacist, patriarchal, capitalistic society. I always want to say it.
It's the way that Bell says it.
Then I quickly play into the tongue twister that it is. But let's just say patriarchy. Like, we're all living under it. How are you going to choose the best non-patriarchal man under the patriarchy umbrella? It's not about choosing. But
also, this is what I was saying about Nola, is that, like, guys, at some point, we all need to divest from the tent. We all need to walk out the tent. Because we are going to get hurt in one way or the other.
100%.
And yes, he's still a Skabenga, but he also is going to get hurt by the system.
Yeah.
This is a systematic thing.
I mean, the odds are he won't, though. The odds are Nola will find a woman who will stay with him no matter what he does.
No, he is going to get hurt, like Genesis predicted.
Okay. Sorry. Any kind of final things you want to say that are pressing about these people?
Yeah, I just wish Kanya was made to account a little bit more seriously.
I actually had nothing for her. Yeah.
Yeah. I think her apologies were half-baked, not sincere in the slightest. It's interesting that they have an altercation post-shooting and then have decided to go their separate ways. This isn't Gatego and Kanya because they've had a serious physical altercation, which I think is very scary. I have nothing else to say about them. I just think that they probably need some time apart. And
they have a baby together now.
They have a baby together. I hope that baby is well looked after. The stakes are incredibly high now because they're going to be in each other's lives forever. Guys, don't meet her for... Yeah, just don't. Just don't. That's my personal...
Dude, and like the idea that like marriage is too much of a commitment, but a baby
But
is...
a child. I had some Zulu man, of course, was like, yo, you know, we should be together. And I was like, no. And also, I'm not in a place in my life where I'm interested in, like, you know, like, because I know what's
going on.
Because I know what you're thinking. Like, you are seeing me as a particular person who's then going to have children.
Okay.
And I was like, I can see what's happening. So absolutely not.
Let me stop you right
there. Let me stop you right there. And then he was like, why not? You know, and I was like, no, not when
they're not.
No, not when you don't want them.
Not when you don't want them.
And also like Ugnita, the stakes of Ugnita,
No.
King. That's energetically not the bird that I'm on. So, girls,
even the women who
your
want
choice.
kids, even the women who were like, I wanted them, I wanted to be a mom. I just like, there's also my calculations fell short just a little bit. It's still, I hate when we say that because like.
Yeah.
Children are great.
Yeah.
People are great.
Yeah.
You know, if you can be alive.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah.
How much of a blessing are they really? to just destabilize a whole person's life and trajectory.
No, I mean I also like look, for the folks that want the kids, have the kids. But just like don't be in this romanticized assumption about children. Let's be honest, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Children, yes. And it requires from your body person that can have children, that requires a lot. That requires a lot. Just yeah.
Someone
in case you didn't know,
I watched an essay because we watch essays on YouTube. A video essay about just how child rearing has become so expensive.
Yeah.
And this woman was like, it's not even that I'm just spending money on the kid. It's the money I'm losing breastfeeding. She was like, I committed to breastfeeding for those kind of ECD, for those early development years. And I had to schedule time out of my work schedule to breastfeed this child. And if you're a freelancer, if you're someone who just, never mind, I don't know what the corporate goals are doing to you guys. I think you guys have more rights there. But if your time literally makes you more money, depending on how much, if your time and money graph, grow together, then like you take a real knock, like from the little thing, because they need your body.
Yeah.
And your work needs your body,
yeah.
you know? So.
Yeah. Anyway, but queens, do what you need to do, but... Oof. Yeah. Okay. I don't have a lot to say about this next thing.
Ultimate Girls Trip?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't.
Okay, then tell me your highlights. None.
Lead me to
Really?
the water.
I
don't know.
This is the funniest show. Let me say, this is about to be the funniest show. Because what we have back is something I've been missing as a Housewives fan. I've been missing it because Roni got rebooted, so we have newer, more like media conscious girls. But the old New York Housewives, I don't want to be careless about my words, but the cluelessness that often lends itself to comedy that certain of the white women have in the franchise.
You mean Crystal?
Is everything. Actually, I haven't actually localized it to any one person. I think there's an interesting thing in that bus, in that
you mean
taxi
Beverly?
ride when they're together, right? So Beverly and Crystal, for me,
white on white violence.
Remind me of the lovely, because white women tend to have these smaller stakes kind of reactions to they have petty conflict really well. I don't know if that's true in white families. I don't know. I've never existed in one. But the white women on Housewives are very good at having petty conflict. And I missed that. And seeing it in a quandam, do you understand? The juxtaposition of a quandam and two white women. It was just everything. I was like, this is why I loved Cape Town Housewives, which was Beverly's from. And this is why I loved, I didn't love Gauteng. I actually never finished Gauteng, but now I have to do the homework and go back. But that for me was such, to capture the essence of Ultimate Girls Trip, which is it's Housewives Avengers.
Yeah.
But without these people are doing one season together. So like even the fact like it's you don't have the anxiety, at least I don't have the anxiety of like things getting really ugly. Like my jaw was so relaxed here. I just know it's all temporary.
Very temporary.
You know, so that was fun. So for me, that set the tone. I really enjoyed.
For me, I
that back
so
and forth.
appreciated that Luxon was back on our screen.
Uh-huh.
That she said, "Oh, Jamaica, killed me." Like I just
my line of hers so far is. I think she's so naturally funny.
She's so effervescent. She's so funny.
I'm also happy to have her back.
Like just that. I will never get. Yeah, I think to me she is just such a dream to have on television, and especially outside because now on television we have her as the host of various shows, and then she's always like a mediator type of person. And so we don't get the full extent
as a character
of how hilarious this woman actually is.
Funny.
She is so funny.
She's
so
funny.
I'm thrilled to have her back. I hope her and Lundi figure out how to be on good terms with one another because they can be quite a useful duo entertainment-wise.
Do you want to go through the list of who's in the season?
Yeah. So we have Christelle, Real Housewives of Joburg, who is just delusional. And I think one of the most unhinged characters we've had on South African television.
Yeah.
Which lends itself, obviously, like you've said, to fantastic
comedy.
But I can't imagine what it is to be her. Like, I can't imagine what that looks like in her life. No?
Well, it looks like a 2-bedroom flat. Now.
Remember when she told us that she had servants?
Yeah. It was so interesting seeing, how her life has changed. She just said it's a simple life. And I really hope someone, it's going to be tricky because it's not like they see where she lives, but maybe she'll divulge on the trip. I really hope someone like gets to the bottom of that. Like what were the push factors?
Yeah.
Because there are ways to downsize that look like a house.
Yeah. It's giving Kim.
Because if it's for your kid, why a 2-bedroom flat?
Yeah.
Sorry, which Kim?
Kim from Real Housewives of Atlanta when she had to keep downgrading her life.
Kim?
Yeah.
When she went back to the townhouse. Oh, it's not though. Because Kim went there because they were, I mean, she probably was lying about the money, but they had the money at the time. They just moved because she always gets in fights with her landlords. And then she went back to a mansion. What's her name? Christelle? It's how the mighty have fallen. It's like a fall. Kim now! Yes.
Yes.
But Kim before, it was never quite...
Okay.
And also, I guess because she had a house, the blow wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Like, she had a house of her own.
Yeah.
I would say Christelle is more Sheree in this. Because Sheree comes back in season 3, 2 or 3. And she is living in a 2 to 3 bedroom flat with her kids. And it's sad. I think it's more that.
I think it's more that. Nonko of Real Housewives of Durban, you can never convince me to be on this woman's side.
Did she do something to her face? Do you think there's filler there or a lift?
There's a
facelift in there.
It's a
facelift.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
You're moving on immediately?
Yep.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not. No, I don't have. Let's keep going.
Mel from Real Housewives of Pretoria, which I don't know. Like, guys, this woman is in trouble with the law, and I know that like that doesn't stop any of the housewives from getting back on television.
Doesn't stop any South African.
I know that. I know that.
Yes.
I know that like a culture of impunity is not new to this genre, not new to this country.
Yeah.
I get that. I get that. I just don't get why she's here. Just because I just felt like from a press standpoint, like, I just feel like at some point, like, we must be scum. And then go, like, SARS might have something to say. Like, one of their interns might be watching this show. And then tell the big boss.
To be fair, I don't know. I'm vaguely aware of the Tammy Taylor drama. I don't know what legal drama she is in addition to that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But, like, that's a big deal. That's, like, an international deal, isn't it?
Is she being investigated for some sort of malfeasance?
Yeah, and, like, for stealing the brand's like name and like underpaying staff and like it's just a lot. Allegedly.
Listen.
Sorry.
That's a woman who wants to be famous, okay?
By any cost. I think it's weird when Nonku's like, you want to have children? No, I don't want to have children. And then like Nonku makes it a whole like character slight on Mal. I thought that was weird. And
I want to go back to that once we're done with the...
Yeah. Then we have our fave, Lekongo.
Yes.
Real Housewives of Durban. Then we have Ulundi, who's going to come next episode, I assume. Real Housewives of Durban. Bev. A diamond. Like a diamond. I can cut through the bullshit. And like a diamond. Oh, my sweetheart. Oh, and then they play that clip of...
Because someone was mocking her accent.
It was Mel.
It was Mel, yeah, with her husband.
Yeah.
That was such a boring scene. But, yes, that's Bev. And then...
A queen from...
Let's have a joy. Oh, I don't know that lady's name. What's her name?
Me too.
That's our queen.
This is why I was giving it to you.
I don't know. I haven't watched Gqeberha. I haven't heard interesting things about Gqeberha. I haven't heard anything that's like, oh, Yiza, like you have to watch. So as you get older, your time.
Yeah. I had other things to do.
Yeah. But Let's Have a Joy. Did you watch her season?
I did.
Or the seasons. I don't know.
I watched season 2. I didn't like spend a lot of time. I watched 3 episodes and I was out. I really enjoyed season 1 of Real Housewives of Joburg. Real Housewives of Joburg season 2. I was like, I can't do this. I can't.
Yeah, it was really difficult for me to get on.
No,
I
couldn't do it. Yeah. I couldn't do it. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, she's fine. And when Christelle says, I don't remember you being there, I think that is such a microaggression. That's so rude. But no lie, I would have also been like, I don't remember you, Queen.
You would have forgotten Letabo. Well, okay,
but I'm actively disinvesting.
Oh, okay, cool. The 2 things that happen in this kind of, for me, the highlights of this episode, which I love because I feel like they're setting the tone for the season, is, what happens in the Kwandam between Bev and Christelle.
Becomes the main fight.
Because Bev says, I think you're going to start the first fight. Now, that's powerful because Christelle is still doing the victim narrative, right, from where she comes from. And so she's triggering something in Christelle where it's like, that's not how I want to frame myself. How have you already... Right? That's interesting as like a conflict that's kind of underlying. And then we get to the table where a lot of things were covered. Bev's whole situation with her daughter, which, I mean, what am I going to do with that? Like, that didn't happen on screen. It was just claimed on screen. It's just like, I just can't touch that. I don't have the hands for that.
And it's ugly.
Yes.
So
and then
ugly.
there's the Petal story with Nonku and Lakongo. And Lakongo tries to do it back at Nonku, but Nonku overreacts at the wrong thing also.
The wrong thing.
It's so interesting. But the main thing that we kind of get left on a cliffhanger for is whatever happened, I guess, in the unaired final episodes of The Real Housewives of Joburg.
Yes.
Was it season 4?
Yes.
And so now...
season 3.
Season 3.
Yeah.
So now it's her word against her.
Yeah.
And by her, either Letabo or what's her name? Or Christelle. So now when Christelle came in as an innocent girl, right? In her mind and in how she's going to frame herself. Bev
Immediately.
shatters that immediately,
Yeah.
right? Christelle's not, and then she has to sit in this victimhood.
Yeah.
And then they get there. Letabo was like, oh, I feel the same. I
Yeah.
feel like, sure, yeah, you are going to start a fight.
Yeah.
So now by the time Christelle tells her story, which of course she was going to have to do, she doesn't have all the control.
Exactly.
Because she has naysayers.
Exactly.
And she has
Exactly.
everyone who's like,
Exactly.
what you really are is a shit starter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So she can't hide behind that.
It's interesting because in Real Housewives of Joburg, Christelle also comes to to just like the narrative world, saying, women just don't like me
They find
because
me
I'm so
threatening.
beautiful and
Yes.
threatening and effervescent. So there's this like built-in victimhood. I don't even know. I don't understand it because it's like,
yeah.
So she
very inflated sense of ego.
self and ego,
Yeah.
but still doing a victimhood thing, which
Well,
is just.
well, that is a white femininity script.
No, I know,
So-
but I'm always, like sometimes you experience the kind of white woman violence in the world and you as a person who's read about this often at school,
It's jarring.
it's one thing to read it.
Yes.
It's quite another to like experience it. And like experience, anyway.
Yeah.
So you watch her do this and attempt to do it, like you say, and then it's completely shattered by people who hold up the reality account.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you just watch her spiral, and then she leaves to come back, and
Yes.
you're just like, but you do need to pick. You do need to
Yes,
pick.
yes.
Are you opting out
She wants the
because you're
attention.
mad?
Yeah.
Or do you want the attention? You need to make your decision clear. And she's just so, and it's weird with Christelle, because she's so unhinged. You forget that like normal white women can also be like this.
Yeah, it feels like it's a very unique characteristic that comes from someone as specific as her. But
Yes,
it's like, no.
you think she's a character, but you're like, oh wait, oh, that happened to me in corporate the other day. Oh, this actually, and so like it's always like, so she's interesting in that sense, but she's just, that's why I was saying, I don't know what it must be to be her. That is such a tiring existence, surely. No.
I mean, when you have better things to do, sure. But and look, I think the ditzy girl thing is still very useful for many women. I'm surprised it's useful for middle-aged women. But maybe in some circles it is. I think Christelle strikes me as someone who understands how useful the ditzy girl thing is when it comes to the kind of men I guess she would have been courting, or who would have been courting her whole life. Like that, just kind of, I'm just here and I'm on candy. Like I'm not, And so when someone's built a whole persona and it's been a lucrative persona to have, and one that, I also don't want to believe that just because someone is like Christelle, that's not a real person. I feel like so much of Christelle is real. But she's leaned into a lot more things for whatever reason, maybe even for TV, but at least well before TV, to get that mansion.
Yes.
So I understand that like she probably traffics in a world where those characteristics in a woman, especially coupled with the knowing when to be a victim, knowing when to be small, have been very useful for her.
Yeah. It's always a shock to me because those scripts are not available to me. I'm black, I'm dark-skinned, I'm curvy. There's no way
that you can access that.
There's no way that I could have accessed that, right? Like,
so I think what's interesting then about Joburg Housewives, which is why I'm going to go back and watch it, is that Christelle's kind of formulation of her femininity very quickly clashes with the black women on the show, right? Because Christelle's persona does kind of rely on gaslighting anyone who's around, right? For whatever reason. And so after a while, that's going to agitate, it's going to trigger black people and it's going to agitate them. And so what you see Letabo doing is meeting her there, knowing I know what you're about to do. I'm triggered from experiencing it even before I met you, and I'm triggered because I've experienced it with you before. And now you're spinning a story I was there
exactly,
for.
and
you're erasing me in that story.
Yeah.
So like that's a very interesting dynamic.
Such macroaggression actually.
Yo.
But I remember when Christelle used to call black people "you people," like just the kind of like whoa,
And she
queen.
had to be told, but you don't say you
Exactly.
people. Yeah.
She has to be threatened with violence
Yes.
to stop saying that.
Yeah.
Which again, that's also but anyway.
Finally, what do you think is going? Oh yeah, I actually want to talk about Nonku's assessment of Mel, the way you were.
Yeah,
she
she
touched
called
on
her
it a little
Barbie.
bit.
She said she doesn't want to ruin her body with children. She's gobsmacked that a woman would not want to bear children.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. When did Nonku become the morality police? I know that's what she thinks she is. But it just... I have a lot of, like, post Real Housewives of Durban hangover with Nonku. So I can't, like... I usually have a year.
Yes, before you encounter her again.
Before I encounter her again. So this is just tough for me.
Yeah, yeah.
This is tough. This is tough.
Yeah. I found it so interesting because I think of Nonku in these JoJo years, right? Like the kinds of white femininity that she has had access to, but also like we spoke previously about how she's kind of borrowed elements of that into her persona. And so it was interesting watching her, seeing which white women she gravitates towards. Because Nongu's open to white women.
Interesting.
Right?
This is interesting because now she has a plethora. Interesting.
And it was interesting. Generally, I find people who, especially women, who do the bratty thing, like the I have to be the princess, no, and who just kind of like overperform it. I'm exhausted watching it. So I can't imagine what it is performing it. But now, Nongu is someone who does that. She does the I'm worth all these things and I'm a princess and all of that. But now she's in a room, or let's say a house, with at least 3 more people who do that. Right. And it was interesting to me to watch her settle into and like place herself among these other kinds of princesses and divas. And it's most evident when people are getting rooms that she feels she's worthy of, and like how she acts. It's like, I should have a tub, and all those
I should
things.
have a butler.
And then,
I should have
her kind of figuring out how her feminine wiles are going to get the butler on her side and how she's going. It was so interesting because those things show up in real life. Like when we arrive somewhere and it's a group of women and there's like limited male attention, whether knowingly or unknowingly, we organize ourselves, right? And not often in relation to one another, but firstly, thinking about like our versions of ourselves outside of this. So it's like, if I imagine myself to be this kind of feminine outside of this context, I start thinking about that, right? And I think, is this accessible to me in this space? If not, how am I going to have to rethink the way I show up in relation now to how Fezzi shows up and how that person shows up to get what I want? Because the male attention is there, and like the power lay often
and also
with the
the
male
context
attention.
of the context of the male attention, right? Like I know, for example, there are moments where I'm like, okay, there's a bunch of us. I'm gonna dip because I know that
I don't even want to be.
Not even I don't. Sometimes I'm doing this not like this bullshit category in which I'm imposing patriarchal standards onto me, onto my beauty, onto my body. That I'm like, I do not perform desirability in this context.
Yes.
And
so
then immediately I'm like, girls, congrats.
Yes.
It's
You
your turn.
both have it. Yes. Right.
Okay.
So you just kind of count yourself out.
Count myself
for whatever
out.
reason, to
And
protect
also-
yourself or to whatever.
It's
right.
become a mechanism that I use.
Yes.
And also it's just it's a way of like me doing this and like not feeling like my feelings are gonna get hurt.
Because
Okay.
you can't lose if you don't compete.
Because I'm an adult now, right? Like I've seen this happen. Put me in an academic conference.
Different, see? And how
Right?
you show up there.
And then
is gonna
those
be...
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then that again is also based on bullshit. Right?
Exactly. None of it is...
None of it is real. None of it is rewarding. None of it is
Yes.
helpful.
Yeah.
None of it is substantive. But, because...
It's there. It's always at play, right?
Because Fezzi talks about epistemes. Tada. She has a little bit more playing power.
Yes,
there.
yes. In that context.
In that context.
So here we have Unongu being greeted by like the kind of patriarch of the moment. I don't know if she saw that they complimented her and thought she was beautiful. I don't know if she heard it because
It's
she was
interesting that
approaching.
the producers also make that a moment.
Yes, they do. Because Nongu is being framed as the hot girl of the franchise, and I it's not sticking. But so then, and then she comes in, and then she gets the decree about kuyaliwa. You might want to take it. You might want to just take a minute to yourself and all of that. And I can imagine that like the messaging that comes with is, I should be protected and preserved and like kept away from the drama, and I immediately can define myself as being unassociated with the drama, which immediately she leans into the, I'm so sorry for their bad behavior.
Sorry,
I'm gonna pray.
peace.
I'm gonna pray. Yeah, I'm
gonna
here to be the
bring
peacemaker.
peace.
Yeah. And so Nonku gets to kind of fall into that. So back to what I was saying about like how she falls in all of this, I think that when she then gets to talk to Bev, Bev is the original. Actually, I love that she's called Beverly because Beverly is Beverly Hills. She is that girl. And Bev's femininity is kind of, you can't touch it. Bev's clocked hot white woman from the hills.
And
right?
her and her husband, before they even go on this trip, have this conversation. Go, you're likely going to face some
hot girl hate.
Some hot girl hate. Look at you. Stunner.
Exactly.
Cinderella.
Right?
So already she's walking into life being
that
like,
way.
Haters. Because look at my body.
But Bev is also smart about how to navigate around black women, right? Like Bev doesn't place herself in opposition to any of the other black women there. How she's spoken about conflict up until this point, how she's shown up. She even's like, I'm so excited I'm next to Nongo and all of that. I think Bev considers at least Christelle, a safe body to like oppose and to potentially be in conflict with. But anyways, so when Nongo is then talking about Mel, I think we're getting Nongo's post. I'm going to try and come up with something to, I don't know, describe what I just described about like how we place ourselves in our femininities. Post draft, right? Nongo's like, okay, now I'm processing how I show up among other people. And this femininity that bothers me is Mel's. And I'm curious to see why. She does kind of allude to, she thinks she's a Barbie. When people say you think you're this, because they think you're that. Like whenever people are projecting what they think about you on you, they will say she thinks she's this. I don't know Mel well. I haven't watched Pretoria at all that much. I don't know if Nongo has really watched Pretoria. But I suspect that the ways that she shows up, at least in person to Nongo, she doesn't know what to do with them because she doesn't fit in. She does say, Mel has a wall and she's all these things. And Nongo's like, why is this femininity that I feel like I'm on par with rejecting me?
Exactly.
And then when she says, I don't want to have kids because my body, Nongo then feels further slighted about, well, I look great and I have kids. Nongo is having a very interesting reaction to not being a main character because she's among other main characters. And I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's well done. Because I hate that woman.
I know.
I just don't have the mental space for her.
Girl, feel what you feel. Feel what you feel.
But I owe it to you.
Luckily, it'll be weekly episodes.
Yes, but I owe it to you to move past my feelings like you did last week. You moved past your feelings and you then gave us analysis. No, I recognize that is a KPI of being on this project.
Okay. And your KPIs include commenting, sharing, subscribing, following on other platforms, resharing, our clips on other platforms.
Yes.
But so far, you girls have worked hard and you did well. And congratulations on being one of 107 subscribers.
Thank you so much. And you know that we are on story.
At 7.